In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the concepts of groups and components in SketchUp. In addition to that, I'll also demonstrate how we can create arrays. To begin with, I've drawn these two objects of the same size, and at the moment they have just been drawn and not been grouped or turned into components. So let's take a look at the difference. When I select an entire object and then right click the object, I can create a group. In contrast to that, when I select an object and right click it, I can create a component. First thing that you'll notice is that when I create the component, a dialog window opens and I'm asked to make a name of this component. So there, I've done that. I've made the yellow one a group and the green one is a component. Now let's highlight the difference between the two. Whenever we want to edit either of these, we will need to double click the object to go into editing mode. And then you'll notice we have the ability to then edit the object. For example, if we wanted to pull a surface, we can now do that. To exit the editing mode, we just click outside of this selection frame. The same thing applies when we want to edit a component. We double click the component and then we're able to edit that component. So they look very similar at this stage. So what's the difference? Well, let's take a look. For this, I'm going to jump over to the concept of arrays. An array simply means copies of an object. So I'm going to be using the move tool to move this object, and instead of just moving it, I'm going to press the Control modifier key and make a copy of it. And I'm going to place it 200 millimeters away from the first object. There it is. I'm going to do the same thing now with the component. Press Control to make a copy and I'll type 200, and now I have two copies. Alright, so let's have a look about the difference between groups and components. When I edit a group, I'll double click it and then I'm just simply going to make the edit that I showed you before. I'm going to raise the height of this step, and that's as simple as that. I'm going to edit it like that. And what I want you to note is the first object in the array has been edited, but the second one has remained the same. With the component, when I double click the component and then edit, look at both models. The difference is, as you can see, with a component, components share attributes. So if I change the height of the first one, or any of the component copies, they will all inherit that attribute. For example, as another one, if I was to change the color here, like that, let's pick something bright and highly visible, and then what you'll notice is that all of the copies have now inherited that color. With the group, if I apply a color here, you'll notice that the copy has not been modified. So that is essentially the difference between groups and components. And that concludes the video on components and groups.